shooter most bigger at your service. That is the mech boy of Fufu Hunter today. Going to be going down this side to grab his natural and then exploit his teleportation to take the contested on Fedrid Folly today. He's got garrisons assisting him here, and then he can hop over this way with his teleport. Great little map for a teleporting commander. Tyranids, however, do not have any teleporting commanders, so instead they're going to be relying on their dirty little tendrils in order to take down the orcs. I feel like it's been a while since we've had any orc v Tyranids. Absolutely love this matchup. It is chaos. Now, the Tyranids are a lot more cost effective in terms of HP per pop and damage per pop early on compared to the boys. So Tyranids really have to exploit that advantage that they have. And there goes the flesh hook. He was trying to get the mech a little bit weaker before he hooked him in, because of course the mech can just do this. Teleport away, it's quite annoying. But the mech boy was soft retreating away and he went for it anyway. Unfortunately, he can't actually force off the mech boy, so he's still putting in some work capping down this side of the map. But yeah, generally the gaunts are stronger. Now the funny thing is though, sluggers counter hormagaunts, hormagaunts counter shooters, termagants counter sluggers, shooters counter termagants. You can see there's some really good damage coming in from the termers on the sluggers, but no toxin sacks yet, so they don't have the crippling poison. This is not looking great. I have a sneeze coming on, but it didn't happen. Terrible. Okay. Yeah, Lictor was trying to bait them sluggers in, get a wipe or so. I'm not... We lost 4 termers on that squad. We lost, what, 2 on the other? Probably a win, honestly, for the orcs. I'm not sure. Probably even. Yeah. 3 sluggers and a shooter, that's about even. So that's fine, but we're getting a nice bit of XP here on the Lictor Alpha, which is cool to see. So let's see, the Nids need to keep the pressure on, as I say. They've got that little early game advantage. Their troops are just as effective in combat whilst being faster and cheaper. So, yeah, big advantage for them. But this changes when you get to tier 2, and especially with a double slugger build. If you end up getting double... Okay, this is a bad fight for the sluggers. They don't want to fight 2 melee squads at once. Especially with that special setting it up. Yeah, you get double sluggers with their slugger knob in tier 2, and they are very fearsome against Tyranids. Notably because the slugger knob does a load of power melee, which allows you to pop the synapse creatures like the warriors very easily. And for that reason, you do often see the Barb Strangler in this matchup. That shuts down the shooters, which can beat you if you've gone for double termagants. So double termagant into Barb Strangler makes a lot more sense than a hormagaunt build going into Barb Strangler. Furthermore, you don't really want your warriors in melee in tier 2 anyway because of the presence of those slugger knobs. But, you know, you give them 4x swarm in tier 2 in addition to the Barb Strangler, and they can be quite useful at ranged, so you don't risk that. It's good on this map as well because of the elevation. You can stand here, and as long as something has sight of these boys, you can shoot over and suppress them all. Look at that, 4 squads suppressed. Decent bit of splash damage. Painboy is the choice here for Fufu, and that will be quite good actually against the Barb Strangler. Obviously heals are a great way to mitigate the effect of AoE damage, because AoE damage doesn't kill actual models. Yeah, I'm not sure about this fight. There's double sluggers coming in here, so this is probably not a great situation. At least the Barb Strangler can suppress one of the sluggers to buy a little bit of time, but yeah. Big shooters, war on all these boys, so a lot of speed and damage buffs going down there, a lot of hormagaunts getting killed. Don't think they'll get wiped. No. Oh, Painboy needs to get out though now. We've got the Toxin Miasma out. 65 melee DPS, what's the Painboy doing? Still in combat. He's trying to stall, he wants the sluggers to get the kill, and wow, they do. I guess the Elixir had already used his Flesh Hook. How much damage is Flesh Hook? Is it like 130? I always felt like it was 130, but it might have been nerfed since then. I don't know, maybe he'd already used the Flesh Hook. That's why I thought the Painboy was in trouble, but a good play then, to stay in as long as he did. Stormboys are the next follow-up. Makes sense as you're the Orc. You want to put the pressure on in tier 1, because if you don't, you risk losing in tier 1 to a heavy Nid tier 1. So you need to kind of match them. If you try to rush tier 2, really there's a very large chance you'll just get pushed back into your base and basically losing tier 1. And the synergy with Painboy and Stormboys is great. And now that's another squad in tier 2 that can get a melee knob leader that's really powerful. Obviously Fufu making a little mistake here. He isn't actually capping the point, but he thinks he is. Should see it now when he moves his mech boy over. He's not going to have time though with the warriors loitering. Yeah, you don't really want to engage the warriors when Hormagaunts are right there. While Stormboys will definitely soundly defeat Hormagaunts on their own, the extra chip damage coming in from the Barbed Strangler will be quite annoying. Okay. Flesh hook the shooter knob. Gotta get out of there. Wow, so close to getting wiped. Holy shit, 4 HP, wow. Nice special attack there from the Lictor. Gone for the Adrenal Glands to make him more tanky in tier 1, that's an interesting choice. But yeah, double burners now on the Sluggers, only versing 1 Hormer, and like I said, Hormers are not the counter to melee, Hormers are best to counter ranged. Because they only have 55 melee skills, so they get specialed and knocked all over the place. And of course, the Painboy was in that combat too, helping contribute some damage. Must have thrown out a heal on one of these Sluggers. And yeah, it's not a good situation for Floyd. He needs his Barbed Strangler and his Termagant. Well, to be honest, he kind of needs everything blobbed up. But this is the problem of him only having 4 units versus 5 on Fufu. And you basically had every unit in that fight there. Shooters were there at the start. The only thing that wasn't was the mech boy who's been running around capping, which she's very good at because of this teleporting over this sort of unpassable terrain kind of situation. So yeah, Floyd needs another unit to try and contest that. Maybe Raveners should hunt down the mech boy. Quite expensive. It's awkward. I feel like you really do need the Hormers in these main fights to counter-initiate the Stormboys when they jump the warriors. And the thing is, the Stormboys would obviously beat the Hormers one-on-one, but the thing is they can't stand and do that because they need to be tying up the Barbed Strangler, or it's going to start suppressing all the melee, which then gets beaten by the double Hormagaunts. Sorry, the double Termagants shooting it down. So here we go. So the problem is here, you haven't got any Hormers. So we get a crippling poison on the Stormboys, but the Painboy slipped in. He's getting focus fired, it seems. There is potential flesh hook here, which I think Stalker needs to be used. Oh, beautiful burrow. That should be the end of the Painboy. Goes for the flesh hook, gets the kill. Termers did get compromised by the double Sluggers, but that's alright. No wipes, and they got the kill on the Painboy, so that's a really big pickup. Okay, Lictor needs to get out before he gets focused down. Yeah, so Floyd forced off on the engagement, a technical loss I suppose you could say, but at the end of the day that was the full army of Fufu. Floyd has been capping the map with these Hormers, and Floyd now has the unit advantage, he killed the Painboy. So yeah, I think that's a technical force off on behalf of Floyd. He got forced off, but I think really he so-called won that engagement. He came out better than his opponent is what I'm trying to say, even though he was the one that was pushed away. So that was a nice play. A little bit too deep there with the Painboy. Probably mistimed it slightly. Probably wanted to split up your Sluggers a bit more and lead with the Sluggers. Yes, one of them may have got suppressed by the Barbed Strangler, but you need your Sluggers a bit closer to the Termablob before you engage, or what we just seen happen is kind of inevitable, where the Painboy just gets focus fired, and yeah, there's just too much going on for the Stormboys alone to handle. You need the Sluggers to get in and tie up those Termers that were contributing that range DPS. So yeah, good engagement. Good engagement. No war gear yet for the mech boy. Bomber boys and a Slugger knob queued up. 2 Slugger knobs? Just 1. Just 1. Wonder if we'll see a fast vehicle. Fast vehicle can work. I don't really like the Death Dread against Tyranids. Venom Brood are very good against walkers, not very good against transports. Death Dread obviously is a walker, and it's more expensive than the war truck. I'd just get a war truck to force some AV. Still have to be careful. You've got potential 4-axe swarm on these guys, which would be a good choice, because you don't want to be going into melee against double Slugger Stormboys. That's not a good idea. A lot of ranged DPS here though. These Sluggers definitely do not want to engage. That'd be a very bad idea, but they're just kind of trying to stall. There's no one around to help. Yeah, the rest of the army is now rotating. Oh, Stormboy Knob's going in. Boom, Bomber Boys. Big splash damage on the Termagants right there. Storm Boys jumping onto the Warriors, and this time they can't kite so easily because of the stun. Wire activated on an isolated Storm Boy squad's interesting, probably not that effective. Oh, nice heal, big battery pack heal there on the Storm Boys, and there you go. Nob Leader, Orcs in Tier 2, a whole different level compared to the isolated boys in Tier 1. Certainly with good support, like that battery pack, that was beautiful. And you can see the impact of that Nob Leader there on the Storm Boys. You've got the Nob Leader here on the Sluggers as well. Has this one got it? Yep. 3 Nob Leaders on the field right now. That's going to be tricky for Floyd to handle. He needs G-Stealers or a Tyrant Guard. Now the Tyrant Guard, it will not beat these on its own. It will actually get torn to pieces. But what you do is you combine it with your knockback sources. So whilst the Sluggers or the Storm Boys are fighting the Tyrant Guard, firstly only so many models can hit the Tyrant Guard at once because he's only a single entity. So you know, you've got 7 boys here in Sluggers, you've got 6 Storm Boys. 13 guys are not going to be able to attack the Tyrant Guard simultaneously, so it's nice. And he can tank the damage whilst you inflict lots of range damage with these assets. Ooh, but we've actually got melee Raveners. Now, whilst the Tyrant Guard is fighting the Orc melee, you want to CC their melee, so you can use Flesh Hook to pull in the Nob Leaders who contribute the most damage, especially the Slugger Nobs because they're power melee, which is bonus damage against your Tyrant Guard, right? You can use your normal Burrow Jump with your Raveners, and it does big AoE knockback, and that really helps your Tyrant Guard get a load of free hits and not take damage for a while the enemy's not back. If you use your actual Burrow, where you burrow underground with this upgrade, like Infiltration, when you emerge, you will stun the Orc Boys as well as knock them over. And again, that buys a lot of time for your Tyrant Guard. The other thing you can do is you can build Capillary Towers and spawn Spore Mines out of those Capillary Towers at only 50 requisition. And then you can escort your Tyrant Guard with the Spore Mines. If the Spore Mines explode, they're going to do splash damage, which will really hurt 13 boys, but it won't really hurt a single entity Tyrant Guard. So, yeah. These are some tactics you can use, but ultimately you've got to be careful because the Tyrant Guard is very slow, and if it does get isolated from your sources of knockback and support, then it will just get torn to pieces by those upgraded boys. The other thing to consider is in any big engagement, you can't retreat with the Tyrant Guard, the boys can retreat out of bad engagements. So what you need to be careful of is committing too hard to an engagement that you thought you'd win, and then the mech boy uses Calder Boys. And then you lose, because they all get reinforced, they get a huge speed and damage buff, and now you've lost your Tyrant Guard. So these are the things you have to consider. Here we go, we've got Desiccator Lavas being spawned out by the 4X Swarm Warrior Brood there, debuffing the Storm Boys to make them take more damage. Tyrant Guard is going to counter-initiate, very lucky with a special attack there, but Battery Pack is going to mitigate a lot of that AoE damage. The Warriors have retreated from this situation. We are flanking Sluggers, burning down the gens. Really, they need to be participating in the fight. A Scythe there coming out from the Lictor Alpha with the Scything Talons doing AoE knockback and suppression. That is another tool that you can use to try and help in these big melee brawls. And there is the Calder Boys. You've seen the health of the Sluggers, the Storm Boys very, very low right there. And now we need to see a charge from the Tyrant Guard to get out. Good play by Floyd to not waste his charge there. He maintained it for a very long time. Sluggers are getting very low, but we've got triple wire activated. A huge speed and damage boost there on the Orcs. And like I said, look at the speed at which the Tyrant Guard is getting quite literally torn to pieces. Too slow on the support here by the Warriors. They came out a little bit too soon, and I've seen the Calder Boys coming from ages when that mech boy was running around with all of his boys surrounding him. That's what the mech boy can do. Them Orc heroes are very fearsome in that regard. You have to really respect the Calder Boys. It's been nerfed tremendously in the Elite mod compared to retail, but it's still such a powerful ability to change a match, an army versus army fight that you thought was actually going to go your way, and instantly, bang, it's their way. But then they've also got a speed and a damage boost, and you can't retreat with your Tyrant Guard, so GG to the Tyrant Guard, it's going down. Fufu is now going to be going to tier 3. There was a lot of bleed there inflicted on Fufu, but to be honest, he's got an absolutely tremendous reserve of requisition in his pool, so he should be alright. Should be alright. Massive engagement there. That could have been decisive, that one. I mean, it looks like a gen got burnt down as well. Nerd nearly got taken down, but not quite. And one thing that we're seeing in this game as well, there's a lot more pressure on Floyd's farm than there has been really on Fufu's farm. We did see some ranged units coming up here. I think they bashed a gen or so, but not huge. And like I say, as the Tyranids, you want to get that early game advantage, so I think Floyd has not quite managed that here. And it's funny, he did get the Painboy kill as well. Imagine if in that engagement there was a Painboy too. Oof, that would have gone very poorly for Floyd. I don't really like the Adrenal Glands pickup. I think it's always nice, isn't it, to get these just flat stat boosting items in tier 1, but I think Toxic Cysts in tier 2 is such a good war gear for these big melee brawls. Having constant AoE damage, which also heals you, so makes you a lot more durable as a lictor, more than the adrenal glands. And it also contributes a lot of damage. I think that's more effective, and I probably would have waited for that. So we're trying to get a little snipe here on the Slugger Knob. He gets it. There you go. Alright, that's a bit of bleed there. What is that? 75 requisition and 25 power. So that's something. But Fufu is so far ahead in tech, it's crazy. Well, to be fair, Floid is actually going tier 3 as well. I suppose he did maintain his full gen farm, didn't he? Now, we didn't see any vehicle in tier 2. The only AV on the field right now is the Electroshock grubs granted by that Thorax Swarm Warrior Brood. Again, another thing that makes walkers very weak against Tyranids. You're going to have to get close to them with a walker. Well, then you're going in range of the Thorax Swarm, aren't you? But you don't need to get in range with a tank. And tanks are way faster than walkers. So, yeah, this is not really a viable threat. If you hang around here, you can utilise line of sight blockers to be decent. And that's kind of what you want to be doing. Maybe you can call in some rippers. There's a good amount of resources for Floyd, actually. But yeah, for now, this looted tank is going to be mostly uncontested. We'll see how Floyd chooses to deal with it. He could try and stall, hoping to buy enough time to be able to get a Venom Brood. Not a Venom Brood, sorry, a Venom Cannon can fix. But VPs are getting quite low for both players now. Floyd has about 150. He's got the little VP lead at the moment, holding that high ground. Fufu's buying his time, just fallen under 200 VPs himself. He's going to wait to consolidate his army and then push forward with that looted tank perhaps. Yeah, he wants the Storm Boys rotating over. They are his most valuable infantry asset right now. And here we go. A lot of blobbing from Floyd. I don't like this. Was that a misfire from the looted tank? Oh no, it rotated over to deal with some Homers. Ooh, those Homers could die. They're dead. They're so dead. Floyd too busy looking down here. He's gone for another snipe on the Slugger Knobs and he gets it. Another snipe on the Slugger Knobs. Big chunks of damage coming out of that looted tank. There is a beautiful bomber, boys. Doing some nice splash damage, rotating around the back of the Warrior Brood. I mean, they got their Electroshock grub off, but there's no follow-up because there's no AV. So I don't really know what the point of that was. He didn't actually bleed that much though, Floyd, to be honest. But he is pushed off the map. Yeah, so it stalled, right? If we look down at the bottom right there, we see a Carnifex is en route. So that probably is going to be a Venom Cannon Carnifex, which is the dedicated tank counter for the Tyranids. Doesn't have the speed of a tank, but it outranges it tremendously, has way more max HP and more DPS against vehicles. So in a 1v1 fight, it will slaughter a tank. But just like the Tyrant Guard, the problem is you can't retreat with your Carnifex. But unlike a tank, when you're moving away to get back to your base, you can't reverse. So you're very, very vulnerable. So you have to be very careful with your how far you push that Carnifex. I would recommend as a rule of thumb, do not push the ranged Carnifex into the enemy 50% of the map. Just don't do it. You've got really high range on this thing. Way higher range than a tank. You've got that Bioplasma ability that does huge spike damage to a tank, especially if you can skill shot it onto rear armor. And that fires into the Fog of War. So you don't need to push it forward. You get a speed buff when you get this Venom Cannon as well. You can see +1 speed. There goes the Bioplasma. Swing and a miss. Thought the looted tank would disengage, but he didn't. Now he's shooting at the wrong target, shooting at the shooter boys there. Only managed to get one of his Venom Cannon shots off. We do have the reinforced armor plating upgraded on the looted tank, so a bit more HP. Now the trouble here for the Venom Cannon Carnifex is going to be that you can tie it up in melee. Currently, it will take less damage from range attacks if it's fighting in melee itself. Oh, sluggers are in range! No, sluggers! Sluggers, no! Oh, Fufu. Oh, Fufu. Jeez, Fufu. Yeah, and it has no melee resist either, so the Stormboy Knob with his heavy melee hammer and headbutts will be quite fearsome. But yeah, you can see obviously it dispatched the looted tank with ease. The looted tank is not meant to stand and trade against it, whether it has the reinforced armor plating or not. Honestly, it could turn around with the Carnifex now and start meleeing. Probably didn't need to send it into base. With all this support, it would have been an easy way to snag a kill on that Stormboy Knob. There's no way he would be able to take out the Carnifex with all that support. Why are the Stormboys staying in for so long? They're going to lose their Knob to the Lictor right there. Oh, he went for the Calder Boys, but the Stormboy Knob's already dead. Calder Boys only reinforces the models on the actual squad itself, not... It can't give you leaders.
that come from upgrades. So that was honestly a major waste. I mean, what's he trying to do? Delay the VP situation? He has got a 2-to-1. Okay, he got the Lictor. But I don't even know if that's worth it. Look how much bleed he's had. Well, certainly all that bleed here. The models plus the Stormboy Knob cost more than 250 for a Lictor to be repurchased. It is a Knob squad coming out. That will be... Well, yeah, it can smash a Carnifex without melee resist to pieces in very short order. But you still can't counter the Valve Strangler, right? It's still going to suppress you. I mean, you can use Frenzy temporarily to get suppression and immunity, but it's very short duration, not really worth it. I'd send the Carnifex into melee here to his shooters. The Knobs have to pursue the Warriors because they're just going to keep getting suppressed if they don't. Yeah, so you can see they're getting controlled. Not a lot of damage coming out here with just piercing and... What even is this damage type? Spore or something? I can't see it. But yeah, not doing a huge amount. Shooters just got slain there. And the Mech Boy taken out too. Focus fired down. The Knobs did manage to get onto the Carnifex. But yeah, look. Valve Strangler still active. Suppress the Knobs. And now there is another Carnifex coming. This will obviously be a melee Carnifex, and that will be able to tango a lot better with the Knobs. I think for the upgraded Knobs would beat a melee Carnifex 1v1, but the thing is you get on-demand knockback, right? Anytime you have a bad situation with your Carnifex, you can just use the charge away, the form back, and you should be in no real trouble as long as they don't have a tank to pursue you. But even if they did, he's alright because he's got a Venom Cannon Carnifex to protect it. And all the things that I said earlier about the Tyrant Guard versus the Stormboys and Sluggers, well, the same thing applies for the Thornback Carnifex versus the Knobs. So the Knobs on their own will 1v1 a Thornback Fex, but you combine it with your stun and your knockback, and again, your suppression and your knockback, your suppression, and that will help the Thornback Carnifex win that fight. But again, you can't retreat. So just don't overextend. But the beautiful thing with the Thornback is the charge tends to be a lot more effective than the Tyrant Guard charge. It's faster by default. Obviously it's vehicle armor, so only really Knobs can threaten you. Stormboys can do something. Sluggers aren't a threat. So there's fewer squads to worry about, so it's easier to sort of manage it. The main reason the Thornback Carnifex is not something you see straight away is because it doesn't do anything to a tank. It'll never catch it. The tank will just shoot at it from afar. But yeah, VP is getting very low right now for Floyd. He's down to 34, bleeding quite fast right now. He hasn't caught a single VP. He is attempting to gain this contest with his Lictor. Probably wants to get the Menacing Visage over there. Oh, actually, to be honest, Menacing Visage would be an amazing way to just win this game right now by force retreating the Knobs. So that's a very expensive tier 3 war gear. I think it's like 150 rec, 50 power or something. Oh, Valve Strangler? I wouldn't do that. Just stick with your default, mate. At least the default Carnifex has melee resist, unlike the Venom of the Valve Strangler. But yeah, you could just go Menacing Visage, and then you can... It gives you an ability that forces a single enemy target to retreat. So you just use it on Knobs, right? They're literally the most expensive unit in the game that can retreat. And it's around a formation as well, wow. Jeez. That's quite desperate there. 27 VPs here for Floyd. And yeah, Frenzy, just going to get the Knobs right into melee here. Super Tough Beam coming out as well. Not really that relevant though, because they're not taking damage at the moment. There's no knockback. And he really could have done with something that stops suppression, but he doesn't have it. And there you go, and the 2 Knobs falling there from the Stranglethorn cannon. Carnifex want to be forcing melee on the Mech Boy right now. Look at that extra damage from the Desiccator Lava there. Huge chunks of damage coming off with those Carnifex swings. Oh, Lictor fallen over here. Wow. Claimed the life of another Slugger Knob, but then died. Alright, well, Floyd needs to hurry up and get onto this VP up here. He's actually getting very low on VPs. Still a lot for Fufu, over 100. Fufu going for beamy looters to try and help deal with these Carnifex from afar. Yeah, that's why he doesn't want Tank Busters. Might have gone Tank Busters if this was a Thornback. But Tank Busters not having as much range as a beamy looter, the Carnifex will just walk up and suppress them with a Stranglethorn, right?
Ah, looks like one of the sluggers got wiped over here. Trying to stall. And the problem is, Fufu is not dealing with a hill. So he might get this VP down here, but he's still not got the majority. Yeah, so there's the Beamy. But how's he going to attack this? Yeah, this is going to be very difficult. This thing can fire over with the elevation. Very good map for the Bow Strangle, actually, now I think about it. I still think falling back would have been better to play it safe, but it doesn't really matter. It's revealed the Beamy Looter here shooting at spore mines, but they're stood next to his own point, that's how we can see them. Wow, that Stranglethorn cannon range with the elevation, yikes. There goes the Frenzy, very early it would seem to me. So you just have to back off now, and they're going to get suppressed. There's double suppression here. With the Bab Strangler as well. Yeah, great. Yikes. On demand knockback, more suppression. Yikes, yep. I mean, look, Nobs can't take on the whole world on their own. It's kind of ridiculous. Need support. But Fufu's run out. He's run out of tools. The line of sight block is here, causing a real problem. The Beamy Looters can't really get close enough. Can't get a good angle. And I think that's going to be GG. Yeah, it has to be a GG. There's no way Fufu can take these points now with the amount of VPs he's got. I don't even think they're going to get to the points. Remember, if it's a 2-to-1 cap, you need to start decapping when you have 7 VPs left. He can't get a unit onto the point. We've got more of these burrowing Raveners. Nice to see these melee upgraded Ravs, actually. It's funny, you often see them staying ranged in order to deal with melee, because you don't actually want to go into melee. And they still get their disruption from their knockback, so you can still use that with a ranged mode if you're trying to help your Tyrant Guard or your Form back, but yeah. They're actually putting some good work there. Burrowing around the place. Quite low on VPs in the end there, 27 for Floid. I feel like he was a bit sloppy on the VPs quite a lot. I feel like he could have sort of hurried up a bit. Caught those VPs a bit sooner in a few engagements. But yeah, good game overall there. Nice to see Tyranids versus Orcs. I told you, it's carnage every time, lads. Carnage every time. I'm just thinking, where did that fall apart for Fufu? I don't really know. I mean, losing the looted tank was huge. That was just like, what? Why? He might have even won the game if he actually forced melee with his sluggers, because the looted tank would have stayed alive, and there was nothing supporting the form back. Sorry, the Venom Cannon Fex, if you think about it. There was a lot of fighting down here, and clearly the Tyranids lost that, because then you've seen the sluggers and the Stormboy rotate over to attack the Venom Cannon. So that alone brought it down to half HP. Imagine if the tank was still around. If that Venom Cannon had overextended and got killed at that point, that probably would have been the game for Fufu, because then he'd have the Nob Squad out, and the Nob Squad would deal with any subsequent Venom Cannons, and if there were no subsequent Venom Cannons, then how would he kill Fufu's tank? So that was probably the critical factor here, and it was a pretty big blunder. That's one of the big disadvantages of the Venom Cannon Carnifex. You can still tie it up in melee. The advantage is he can go and do melee damage. Even though it's dedicated AV, he can hurt infantry with melee. But yeah, the fact that you can tie it up with things like sluggers when it's trying to kill a tank is definitely a disadvantage. But there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed that one. That's going to be all from your boy Torpid. If you want to see more high-level content like this, check out the Patreon. I may say even higher-level content you will find on the Patreon. But over 50 videos on there now that you can get access to immediately with one £5 subscription. Peace.